you know, Shias is one thing that you have to have a clear understanding with. I'm not saying it was, yes, these people with them, but give them dawah. Give them dawah. Don't be compromising with them, and don't come among us giving us justification statements as to what they believe similar to us, and we should accept it.
Of course, when giving da'wah to an individual Shiite, right, it's not going to serve any purpose directly to tell this person you're a disbeliever, you're going to hell. Just like if you're giving da'wah to a Christian, though you believe, yes, this person is heading for hell, but to tell a Christian, listen, you're going to hell, it's just closing his ears so he doesn't want to hear. What you want to do is to invite them, to let them to understand what in fact are the correct beliefs concerning Allah. Understanding, we have to understand what they believe and get them to have a clarity of what the correct belief is. Same thing with Shiites. Of course, here in the Bahamas, being a Shiite may not really be a Shiite in the sense of Iranian Shiite, who has a tradition of their beliefs and practices, who is living this thing. We have people who may consider themselves Shiite because of political wranglings which took place in the community, so they may lean to one group and call themselves that. But when you ask them, what does it mean to be a Shiite? They can't tell you. Oh, we pray on these stones. Why do you pray? Well, because it's mingled with blood. They have some kind of story. One of the sisters who were amongst us this afternoon was talking. I was just asking her. She said she was a Shiite. I was asking her, what does it mean to be a Shiite? The only thing she could come up with is that we prayed on these stones, she said, which she used to chew on when she was a kid. And they told her, well, no, this is mingled with blood, so don't chew on it, right? And she had no idea where these stones came from, But in her mind, in terms of the concept who Allah is and who we should be worshipping, she has the same belief as we have. So for those people who have a confused kind of state, they don't really know, they're just saying, using a term, it's to bring them to try to understand, what does it mean to be a Shiite? To become clear. Now, if they do understand, after it's become clear what it means to be a Shiite, and they have said, well, no, I believe that the Imams have these attributes of Allah, and they've made it clear that they belong to another religion from the one we belong to.
What about the fact that they practice Taqiyya? They tell you one thing.
Well, Taqiyya, which means that they may say one thing and they believe another. Okay? Well, that much we can only judge when we find clear evidence for it. For here, where the person says to us in discussing with them that in fact, no, I do not hold these beliefs, and so on, so on, so on, so therefore, in fact, I am not a Shiite, and you have to accept that the person says I'm not a Shiite. But if a person says, no, I do hold this belief, or I don't hold this belief, but I'm still a Shiite, and you say, well, what is a Shiite? And they, in other words, they still wanted to call themselves a Shiite, but they're claiming not to hold this belief. So this is where we have a case of somebody who may be playing a game.
I understand what you said, and I take that approach, A lot of people basically, right, in the Bahamas, go where the people who are, many of the people who may be Shias and some of them may not understand what they believe. They don't understand that. There were always some males who basically took, because like you said, it's wrangling from the community, personal misunderstanding, difference in opinion, and people became into that. Right? So you have now a new set of people who basically may be Shia, but not really have studied and know what it really is about themselves. I've always find how Muslims deal with people to be very harsh and without no wisdom and understanding. When you are with somebody who in this position who don't have any very hard fast rules about what they believe, it is your obligation to discuss what is correct with that person.
To enlighten them. Yeah.
Right? I just find a lot of people take position. We don't even have any relationship with people. No relationship with people. And stand in the corner and make accusations, right, with anybody. I find that difficult, right? I find it difficult. Now, somebody comes to me.
So what we come to really is that we don't want to go to, again, one extreme or the other. We don't want to become so loose that it doesn't really matter what you believe, we're all one, forget it, we're all Muslims, Nor do we want to go to the other extreme where we judge people without having presented the evidence to them and they know what they actually believe and present to them the clear. So we don't want to go to either one extreme or other. But for ourselves, we have to have a clear understanding that being a Shiite, in fact, is belonging to another religion. See, if we didn't have that clear understanding, then you see it becomes bemuddled, it becomes, confused. So we're dealing with people and we want to make excuses and all these other things. But if we have a clear understanding, well, in fact, this is another religion, then when we deal with them as you would deal with somebody following another religion. We give them a chance to explain themselves, we try to get to the roots of what they believe is. Where is the problem? Let's clarify for them what is the correct belief. After we've given them the evidence, the truth has been made clear to them. If they still choose to be that, then it means that they've made their commitment very clear that we are in fact following this other religion. To your religion, walakum dinukum waliyadin. You have your religion and I have mine.
It goes to all these different extremes and different groups of Shias and all this other stuff. One of them walked up to me and said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. What's my business? If a person who calls himself a Shiite says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi to me, I say back to him, wa alaikum. Where can I find the delay for that? So that wa alaikum. The response which the Prophet ﷺ told us to give to the Christians and the Jews. Okay? That's what he told. If a Christian... They're not really Muslims. Yeah. What I'm saying. Yeah. We don't give them the full wa alaikum assalam because we cannot classify them within the body of Muslims. No, we're not sure that they're completely out. So we give them at least what we give to the Christians and the Jews when they give us a greeting, salam alaikum. We respond to them according to what Prophet ﷺ taught us, wa alaikum. We do not say back to them, wa alaikum assalam. We say, wa alaikum.
I'm happy to this particular issue has come here. Many of the times I see in our community here, the response to salam alaikum is wa alaikum and the stop. I think if you enlighten the people that Muslims should completely wa alaikum salam, should complete it, that would be better. But I have often heard our youngsters or somebody aiming
at wa alaikum.
I think it should.
Yes, because Allah says that if the greetings are given to you from the believers, you should respond with like or better. So the least you should respond back to is wa alaikum assalam, and it's better to say wa rahmatullahi and also wa barakatuh.
I know this question could possibly come up in later on tomorrow, but I think since we're dealing with Shia, I just want to bring it up here rather than bring it up there, right? If what the situation be in respect to a Shia coming to ask you for his daughter for marriage, or your son marrying a woman of the Shia? How would you relate to that special response?
Well, Islamically, you shouldn't agree. Islamically, you shouldn't agree. You shouldn't marry your daughter to a Shiite or your son to a Shiite. If they accept proper Islam, Islam which was brought by Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, and is conveyed to us by his companions, then the marriage can take place. If they accept it, meaning not just accepting it for the marriage, again, because that's the same condition. If a Muslim is going to marry a non-Muslim, a Christian or a Jew, because a Muslim male may marry a female Christian or a Jew. Right?
not vice versa. Right? Muslim woman can only marry a Muslim man. Okay? Now, if that Muslim man knows that the woman is saying the Shahada just to marry him, then that marriage is adultery or fornication. It's fornication. If he knows that she tells him, she says, for example, I don't believe, but I will just say it to marry you. I'll accept the faith to marry you. Right? Means I don't believe it. So if you know that that person is saying it, this is a lie. It's a false statement. If the person says, let me read about Islam, I want to know about Islam, I've become up, and they study Islam, and they say they are Muslim, and you marry them, later on they told you, well, I didn't really believe, I just did it. Well, that's another situation, right? That's another situation. But if at the time of marriage you know that this person is only declaring the faith to marry you, then that declaration is a false declaration. So in fact you are marrying somebody who you should not be marrying. I mean, in the case of a Christian or a Jew, she's a Christian or a Jew, you're allowed to marry her without her making the second. So don't have her make a false statement. Marry her. If she's a Buddhist, of course, then the only way you can marry her is if she becomes Muslim. She's a Buddhist or a Baha'i or any of these other groups, right? Then the only way you can marry her is if she becomes a true Muslim. And similarly with your daughter, if the guy wants to marry her, he's declaring his faith just to marry her, then for that marriage is false. It's a false marriage. He's entering into an arrangement of fornication, and you are sanctioning it. Sin.
One guy, as far as muta is concerned, right? There's no basis for it as far as anyone trying to have sympathy for anyone who indulges in muta marriage.
Well, Omar, the muta marriage was forbidden during the Battle of Khaybar, and was again forbidden for those who didn't hear the prohibition in the Battle of Khaybar in the farewell pilgrimage. Now there were still some people who still didn't hear it, they didn't make the farewell pilgrimage, and Omar in his caliphate heard about them, and he threatened that whoever continued to do this would get the punishment set by Allah for fornication or adultery. Right? The Shiites claim Omar is the one who forbade it, but no. It is just for two individuals. If you read the narration in Bukhari, you see it explains how it came about. There were people who were still practicing it, who hadn't heard the prohibition. So he informed them of it and threatened that whoever did it afterwards is, if they were already married and it was a second wife, for example, then it's adultery. If they were not married, then it's fornication. And they would get the punishment accordingly. Okay? So, for anybody to promote it is to promote adultery or fornication. It is totally unacceptable.
Just to go back to that one point with the Christians and the Jews, female. Isn't there a stipulation on that though? You don't just be Christian or Jew, you have to be
chaste.
Muslimah?
Yeah. Muhsana. She has to be chaste, meaning that she was not known to be, loose, having sex with this one, that one, the other one, etc. She has to be known from a chaste family.
Chaste being virgin, right?
No, not necessarily. She could have been married before and divorced, or her husband died, whatever. But she was a chaste woman. Chaste woman meaning that she was known. She was not a woman that was, easy to get. People were having relations with her, etc., etc.
All right, you give us a fine-tuned definition. Chaste means that it could be the lady was married before. Chaste could mean she was married before. Chaste could mean her husband was died. You're saying chaste could be also this woman had just one or two men like in the rest of
No. Had no men. Meaning that her only relationship, if she had a relationship with a man, it was a marriage. Yeah, meaning she was married and her husband died or her husband divorced her, right? So this is the woman. This is how she was not known to have been with men before marriage, etc., etc. Or if she wasn't married, then she was a virgin. That's the other thing.
So what you mean now, and further clarification, in our society, chiefs mean those sisters in the nursery.
Yeah.
Sisters, we can hear you. You see your discipline through the internet. I don't know if you have any questions. We would like to know that you are participating in the discussion and that you sort of reserve your discussion among yourselves to afterwards. But that you're actually listening attentively and you want to participate by asking some questions. So are there any questions from the sisters here, since we are hearing them from this side?
And Muslims marry a Christian in the Bible Cooper.
Can a Muslim marry a Christian in Bilad al-Kufr, or in a land where it is dominated by the disbelievers? There is no stipulation which prevents Muslims from marrying a Christian in either Dar al-Islam or Dar al-Kufr. No stipulation. However, the recommendation would be in Dar al-Islam. In Dar al-Kufr, it would not be recommended. It is preferable, we can say preferable, that a Muslim man does not marry a Christian woman in the societies of disbelief. Why? Because the principle was allowed as a concession which is with the intent of benefit to the Muslim community, not harm to the Muslim community. So in Dar al-Islam, when a Muslim man marries a Christian woman, then that Christian woman is in a society which is encouraging her to become Muslim. Those children will be raised as Muslims, no questions involved. Whereas in the land of disbelief, where disbelief is in control of the society, then that woman as a non-Muslim will be encouraged to remain a non-Muslim by the society. And the children may be raised as non-Muslims if they divorce or other circumstances, or maybe even while she's still married, that the woman will be trying to feed Christian ideas to the children. So that's why a number of scholars consider it to be not preferable in circumstances where Muslims are in a state of weakness. Maybe not even only in Dar al-Kufr, it could be Dar al-Islam in the sense that it could be in a Muslim land, but it's being ruled by other than Islamic law, and Christian missionaries, etc., are very active, etc., amongst the community, and through their activities they may marry, some of their daughters or whatever to local Muslims, and by that way convert them to Christianity. So even in a situation that where Muslims are weak, then it is not preferable for them to marry Christians.
Even from the point of view of again a disadvantage to the woman, to the Muslim women, and where Muslims are minorities in terms of numbers, the environment is closing on Muslims. As long as there are Muslim sisters available, it's not right for a Muslim man to go marry a Christian man or woman, no matter how virtuous she might be, because it is disadvantageous to the other Muslim women. Because a Muslim woman cannot go marry a non-Muslim man. So if he go marry these non-Muslim women, who can marry the Muslim women? It's disadvantageous. And Prophet said, you shouldn't call harm to anybody, and you are actually calling harm to the Muslim women by leaving them there with their husband, as you go marry the non-Muslim women. So it is not good in a non-Muslim, especially in a non-Muslim environment where the Muslim sisters have nobody. In a Muslim country, at least they got Muslim men that she might be able to marry, but in a non-Muslim setting, the only way she can marry is from among you. So it's really difficult for her.
Yeah, you want to raise a question? Go ahead.
Okay, on that same point, what if all the Muslims in the non-Muslim setting is quote unquote, as the community says, too young to be married, and brothers in the community, single brothers, don't have the means to go away and go to an Islamic country or out of the community to get other sisters, but they want to protect themselves from committing illegal sexual acts. And there's a single sisters in the community. Is in the general consensus of the community, quote unquote, too young. What should single brothers do to protect themselves from committing illegal sexual acts if they feel that could be a problem?
Well, the recommendation given by Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is to fast.
He has the means to get married.
If he has the means to get married, and there is no opportunity, because the means have to be linked with the opportunity. If there is no given opportunity, he cannot make hijrah at that particular point, go to another Muslim community to find a wife, etc. Then he has to be patient. He gives his da'wah out there. If he tries to find maybe among the Christian women somebody he can give da'wah to, and if they accept Islam, ultimately, after they've accepted Islam, then he can marry them. Go ahead. Is it going to reach? Just hold it near there. I can pronounce it.
I just wanted to clear something up with the speaker. Earlier on, during the session that we had this morning, I would just like to correct you, and I remember correcting you twice. I did not openly profess to be a Shia Muslim. However, I did say that I was brought up as a Shia Muslim. And I would also like to go on record that I am in the process of seeking knowledge about Sunni Islam.
Alhamdulillah.
Allahu Akbar. Check that.
You didn't say takbir.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
That's a righteous sister.
I'm sorry about that if I didn't catch the implication that you meant, sister. And I was only really talking in a general sense. I'm talking to a group that really don't know who I'm talking about anyway. But in any case, I'm sorry if I mistakenly identified you as a Shiite presently, but one who was in fact brought up as a Shiite.
But that is exactly what the point I was made and you made earlier. I re-emphasize. You cannot have these hard rules on people without knowing their situation, and this community is famous for doing that. You have to check situations out, and brothers being in no position to check out anything from a woman. Right? The women who have relationship with people do the investigation, check, find out, and so forth. What brothers be doing is saying that this sister should not be talking to this one, and they don't know what's going on. Right? And I find that I don't particularly like that, and it's unfair to me, it's un-Islamic. Let the sisters, let's just say what the situation is. But people will have these hard, fast rules on people and don't know anything about them. We are famous for that part. I am personally concerned, and that is off the wall.
Alhamdulillah. Further question? Or comment? Then let us close the session this evening, hoping that inshallah we have a clear understanding of what constitutes the Islamic approach to moderation, what constitutes that middle path, and our requirements to follow it, to find out the Islamic teachings which guide us on that particular path, and I hope also that we avoid, any of the extremisms that have become prevalent amongst us in terms of our enthusiasm, getting out of hand and then creating splits in the ranks of the Muslims. And inshallah, we also hope that we would strive to convey Islam to the outer community in the best way possible. And if I've said anything else to offend anybody, it's not my intention, and I would ask them to forgive me. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.